Lesson study is a research-based collaborative teacher professional development in schools that originated in Japan. Research targets are classroom activities and lessons, thus it is called lesson study. It aims at studying the best teaching and learning method for children in each school. In lesson study, teachers observe how their ideas work in a live lesson with students, and then report on the results so that other teachers can benefit from it. Lesson study is now widely spread all over the world, including developing countries such as the Philippines. Cambodia, Kenya, and of course in Rwanda. Before the induction of the competency-based curriculum, teachers' main role was simply deliver the subject knowledge. However, the competency-based curriculum asks teachers to develop competent students who possess special abilities such as critical thinking, creativity, problem-solving, communication skills and so on. The new curriculum approach is truly learner-centered. Thus, quality of a teacher in competency-based curriculum is estimated on how much the learners attain competency standards from the teaching rather than how a teacher apparently teaches nicely or not. A teacher in competency-based curriculum era is no longer a subject content specialist, but a human resource development professional. Teachers carefully observe attainment of all learners and encourage them to achieve the goal. Therefore, teachers' job is now highly specialized. In addition to the subject knowledge, teachers need to master particular pedagogical knowledge to develop logical thinking skills such as critical thinking and creativity. The curriculum also expects to foster the ideal attitude as Rwandan citizens who actively challenge to build the knowledge-based nation. To do that, teachers have to be familiar with assessment knowledge to properly encourage and motivate learners. At the end, competent learners are produced. Teachers combine and integrate these knowledge to effectively conduct CBC lesson. The combination of pedagogical knowledge, content knowledge, and assessment knowledge is called pedagogical content knowledge or PCK. PCK is intelligence and wisdom of teachers. It is implicit and practical, thus it doesn't merely transfer from one teacher to others. The fact insists new teacher training principles. Firstly, teacher training should be organized near learners so that teachers can easily observe how learners learn. Secondary, teachers should learn PCK, generated by peers or through experiences in their schools. It must be the most relevant PCK for their learners. Thirdly, teachers need frequent and continuous practice to be fully familiar with the given PCK. Because PCK is the integrated and complicated wisdom of teachers, so it takes time for its mastery. Various ideas to support these principles have already been introduced in Rwanda. School-based in-service training or SBI, peer learning, and reflective practice are those. Teachers' community of practice, or TCOP, is another terminology to explain about the community where teachers enjoy exchanging practical intelligence each other. These ideas are now being integrated into the broader concept called Continuous Professional Development or CPD. Lesson study is the methodology which automatically creates the best nature for SBI, peer learning, reflective practice, TCOP and CPD. Especially, lesson study is specialized for the mastery of PCK. Lesson study provides opportunities to research how students learn in real classroom. In other words, lesson study asks teachers to learn effective learning teaching approaches from peers through formative assessment. Lesson study is a cyclic process comprised of group formation, research topic selection, lesson design, lesson practice, research lesson, and reflection. Lesson study is endless. Thus, it is known as a major methodology of continuous professional development. Lesson study is a collaborative research activity with peers. Group formation is the first step of lesson study. Teachers who teach similar subject basically form a lesson study group so that they may easily help each other. A member list will engage teachers in lesson study properly with high commitments. Head teachers, directors of studies and sector education officers could be the witness of the list to ensure the participation of lesson study group members. Lesson study is organized to study and research the better PCK together with peers. So the first activity of the lesson study group is to determine the research topic. It is usually learning and teaching problems or issues that students currently face in their classroom. DOS, SBM, or group leader usually facilitates the discussion for the research topic selection. There are two types of approaches while identifying learning and teaching problems. The first approach is to discuss cross-curricular issues which are common challenges for most teachers in school. Instructional language problems, organization of group work in large-size classroom and questioning techniques are the examples. It generally fits for primary school teachers. The second approach is to find a solution for specific contents which is difficult to learn. All subjects usually contain topics that most students badly perform. Or some teachers have a difficulty to teach a certain topic. In that case, lesson study is utilized to improve such specific contents teaching. Secondary school teachers may benefit from it. In both approaches, using cards for sorting out problems is a nice method to identify the major problem in democratic manners. Teachers freely write down problems that teachers and students confronting in lessons on post-it or small card at first. Then put them on a large paper or wall. After that, teachers classify the similar problems so that they may viscerally understand major problems to be tackled. The chart shows the result of the problem identification and their solution to be tested in lesson study in a certain school. Since lesson study is a research activity for PCK in each school, the discussion targets are limited to PCK-related problems and issues so that teachers can consider their resolutions by themselves as teaching professionals. For instance, automatic promotion in this chart is not a problem of PCK. Or, the suggestions to REB and government never help the research activity. Teachers should critically think these points. Lesson study group members prepares lesson for research. Group members firstly decide the lesson title according to the research topic and the available schedule for the research lesson. Then, appoint the teacher who demonstrates the research lesson. Secondary, lesson study group develops the lesson plan and teaching materials. The demonstrator is the primary person in charge the preparation. But don't leave him or her alone, because the research topic is for all group members decided together. Let's set a time to meet for the discussion on how to design the lesson. When the discussion for designing the research lesson, resource materials such as textbooks, syllabus, and other references should be referred so that teachers can creatively exchange the idea to resolve the learning problem. This kind of discussion is so valuable to deepen understanding on PCK among group members. Competency-based curriculum asks teachers to give various open questions to develop learners' higher-level thinking skills in a lesson. Though, it is difficult to predict how learners respond to the open questions when new lesson idea is firstly applied. Therefore, a teacher who give a research lesson should rehearse beforehand to demonstrate the best performance at actual lesson. If a demonstrator doesn't prepare the lesson well, and cannot properly facilitate it as a result, the lesson study group fails to research the new idea. However, a teacher usually cannot practice with real students, because students in the research lesson must be fresh and new to the lesson content to fairly investigate the effectiveness of PCK. Micro-teaching is often used in such situation instead of a real classroom simulation. Micro-teaching is a role play. Peers in your lesson study group are requested to act as a student who has learning problems. A teacher who will give a research lesson practices the lesson flow and tests lesson ideas against the peers. A debriefing session must be held soon after the micro-teaching. At this stage, the lesson is usually premature and there must be a lot of rooms for the improvements. Group members attended as students, now get back to professional teachers who give constructive comments and advices for the teacher demonstrator. DOS and SBM are also expected to lead the session to enhance the lesson quality towards the research lesson. Based on the comments and advices, lesson study group revises the lesson plan and teaching materials. It is recommended to repeat the micro-teaching until the lesson quality meets the expectation of the research lesson. Research lesson is the time to examine the lesson ideas being elaborated through the series of group activities. Demonstrator gives the lesson and other lesson study members observe it. It is not limited to group members. Inviting supervisors or resource persons from outside is a lovely idea to receive useful comments. If photocopier is available in your school, please provide the lesson plan to the guests so that they quickly understand the lesson objective and its structure. The quality of CBC lesson is estimated on how much the students attain competency standards from teaching activities. Therefore, observers in research lesson are requested to observe learners' achievements, rather than teachers' behaviors. In addition, lesson study is an evidence-based research, thus it observes a real classroom to record data or evidence on how students perform in the lesson. Observers are required moving around the classroom to check students' exercise book and to record data and evidences for the following feedback session. We generally recognize well-performed students as someone who accurately and speedily complete a given task within limited time. So there are basically two factors, accuracy and speed, which determine performance, if we try to explain it most simply. However, teachers tend to check accuracy only, if answers correct or not, when they check student achievement. Let's pay attention to speed of each student involved in a learning task, in addition to the accuracy from now. It surely helps your analysis. Research topic in lesson study is decided by teachers and schools based on teachers' research needs. It is not an inspection. Therefore, there are basically no common criteria to assess quality of the research lesson. But it is usually difficult for novice teachers to make effective observation without the guidance. The screen shows the observation criteria being tested in some pilot schools. It may help your observation. Reflection is a post-lesson conference. It is usually organized soon after the research lesson observation. Objectives of the reflection are to feedback observation results from other teachers, to discuss alternative ideas to address issues given from the feedback, and to review the entire process of lesson study itself. As it is explained before, observers in research lesson are requested to observe learners' achievements, rather than teachers' behaviors. The feedbacks are supposed to be linked to students' behaviors, activities, and achievements to investigate the learning problems in the research lesson. After the feedback session, participants discuss alternative ideas to research the better PCK which can address issues in the research lesson. DOS, SBM, and other resource persons sometimes invited from outside may give participants good advices. The ideas and PCK updated through the discussion are valuable assets both for teachers and school to ensure quality lessons for students in next year. It is highly recommended for teachers to revise the lesson plan and keep the discussion record. Lesson study is a very new method for Rwanda. Thus it is also recommended to review the entire process of lesson study itself so that the teachers can organize next lesson study better. The screen shows the draft evaluation criteria for lesson study that is being tested in some pilot schools. It may help your lesson study management. Teachers improve their learning teaching approaches through lesson study, a process in which teachers jointly plan, observe, analyze, and refine actual classroom lessons. In lesson study, teachers carefully investigate how learners respond to these lessons, including their learning, engagement, and treatment of each other. Teachers also think about the long-term goals of education, such as love of learning and respect for others.